That's the main purpose of the tribulation, to bring the nation of Israel to a saving knowledge of Jesus Christ, because Jesus is not coming back until the Jews receive him as the Messiah. So the rapture is when Jesus comes back for his bride, the church, whereas the second coming is when Jesus comes back for Israel, his chosen people. They are two different events that happen at two different times for two different purposes. Now, listen to me, because this is very important. Knowing what each event is helps you to understand the difference between the two. You see, both events involve Jesus coming back, but the truth is Jesus comes back at two different times for two different reasons. He comes back the first time for his bride, the church, in order to take us to the places he's prepared for us in heaven. But he doesn't come to the earth. Instead, we meet him in the air. So technically, it's not the Parousia. The Parousia is what we refer to as the second coming. The Parousia is defined as the return of Jesus Christ to the earth at the last judgment. But you see, when Jesus comes back for the bride, he doesn't come back to the earth. That's why we meet the Lord in the air, because it's not the Parousia, it's not the second coming. He comes back the second time for Israel, his chosen people, in order to save them from annihilation and to set up his kingdom on the earth. So he comes back to the earth, and all the promises that he's made to Israel throughout the Old Testament are going to be fulfilled. In fact, that's one of the main purposes of the millennium. It's to fulfill the covenant promises that God has made to Israel. So these are two different events at two different times. Now, once you understand this, it becomes pretty easy to distinguish between the two as you're reading through the Bible. In fact, let me show you a chart to illustrate what I'm talking about. All right? Two events, the rapture and the second coming. When the rapture occurs, there's going to be a translation of believers. In other words, we're going to be transformed. This mortal, corruptible body is going to put on immortality and become incorruptible, and I'm going to have a glorified body. Yeah. But at the Parousia, when Jesus comes back to the earth, no translation is involved. No one's transformed. When the rapture occurs, the saints go to heaven. When the second coming takes place, the saints return to the earth. When the rapture occurs, the earth is not judged. When the second coming occurs, the earth is judged. The rapture is imminent. That means it could happen at any time. There is no prophetical event that must take place in order for the rapture to occur. It could happen right now while I'm preaching. That's what we mean by imminent. The second coming is not imminent. Certain things have to take place before Jesus returns. The rapture affects only believers. The second coming affects everyone on the earth. The rapture occurs before the day of wrath. The second coming concludes the day of wrath. When the rapture occurs, there's no reference to Satan. When Jesus comes back, Satan is bound in a bottomless pit for 1,000 years. When the rapture occurs, he comes in the air, so it's not the Parousia. When Jesus comes back, he comes to the earth. When the rapture occurs, he comes for his bride. When the second coming takes place, the bride comes with him to the earth. When the rapture occurs, no one sees him, only the saints. Let me tell you what it says. This is the moment in the twinkling of an eye. When you try to do that in time, it's actually a plank. You can only divide time up to a certain point. I think it's, don't hold me to this, I think it's, I should have looked it up. 1 times 10 to the minus 43 power. Now, you can't divide it any more than that. Actually, it's the time that it takes light to pass through the iris. It's not the blink of an eye like you thought. When it happens, it will happen so quickly. You'll never even see the bones come out of the grave. You'll never even see me leave. It'll look like I was here and I was gone and there's nothing else. I don't know if you see the clothes falling, that might be able to be seen. But no eye will see him. When the second coming occurs, let me tell you, every eye will see him. When the rapture occurs, the tribulation begins. Now, that is actually not true, but it's semi-true. How in the world could it be semi-true? Shortly after the rapture. You see, the rapture does not begin the tribulation. The 7-year peace treaty is what begins it in the book of Daniel. When the Antichrist confirms a 7-year peace covenant with Israel, that's when the tribulation begins. The rapture will happen a little bit before that. We don't know if it happened 3 days before it, 3 weeks before it, if it happened 3 months before it. I'm just using the word 3. It might not even be 3. But shortly after that, tribulation begins. When the second coming comes, when Jesus returns to this earth, the millennium begins. So as you can see, the rapture and the second coming are two different events that occur at different times because they each have a different purpose. Now, if you don't understand this, you'll end up confusing scriptures that talk about the rapture with scriptures that talk about the second coming and vice versa. Or you'll think that they all refer to the same thing, which is really confusing because those verses will seem to contradict each other. In fact, they won't just seem to contradict each other, they will contradict each other. But that's only because you've mixed them together because you think that they're all referring to the very same thing, but they don't. Some refer to the rapture and some refer to the second coming. Now, believe it or not, it really isn't that difficult to determine whether a prophetic passage of Scripture is referring to the rapture or whether it's referring to the second coming, as long as you pay attention to the details. People, it's all in the details. In fact, let me give you a list of Scriptures that refer to the rapture, and then I'll give you a list of Scriptures that refer to the second coming, and you can look them up later. There's a reason why we come in and we video this sermon. The reason we do that is because you can go back later and you can watch all the way through or even scroll all the way through till you get to this point. Then you can put it on pause and you can write all of these scriptures down. I guess there's no reason to do that. You can take your phone and you can take a picture. And then you can study all these scriptures. So I'm not going to take time to go through them. I just want you to look at the list. All right? But I want you to notice as you go through this list on your own time that it's really easy to see which ones refer to the rapture and which ones refer to the second coming. So here's a list of scriptures that refer to each one. In the rapture, John chapter 14, verses 1 through 3, 1 Corinthians 15, 1 through 53. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verses 13 through 18, Romans chapter 8, verse number 19, 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 7 through 8, and you go on right down the list. To the second coming, Daniel chapter 2, verses 44 through 45, Daniel chapter 7, Daniel chapter 12, Zechariah chapter 14, Matthew chapter 13, Matthew chapter 24, and you go right down the list. Now listen to me. If you mingle these scriptures together as if they refer to the very same event, they will contradict each other. Yeah. Because they do not refer to the same event. Let me give you an example. When the rapture occurs, Jesus is going to come as a thief in the night. When the second coming occurs, every eye will see him. You read this and you read that and you go, well, that just contradicts each other. Well, the reason it does is because they're two separate events. When you read in scriptures about the rapture, it's imminent. It could happen at any moment. You need to be waiting and watching. When you read about the second coming, it won't happen until these things take place. So these scriptures will seem to contradict each other if you mix them together. But when you understand the difference, it makes all the sense in the world.